Welcome to Parascension Radio, bringing you new perspective for your spiritual evolution. So get ready and welcome your host, Solana.
I want to welcome you guys though tonight. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. I once again um, tried to do a screen share so you all could read along with me. I want to read chapter two of my book, Parascension Life, my paranormal experiences. But I tried I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is, but it wouldn't screen share um, my file. So I do have it up so I can read it, and because again, I feel like it's very interesting to me, um, because again, these were my experiences, but there's so many people that have experiences like you, Vonnie. You were a paranormal investigator as well, so you have your team and everything. You go out and do I mean, did you have experiences? What kind of things did you, encounter and stuff? I'm sure a lot of it is going to be like what I wrote about in the book, because uh, it's very common. These things that we go through here, and it's, again, that word common. It's not. It's normal. It's not so paranormal, right? That's what I like to say. It's paranormal, because so many of us have those experiences, where we could say, "Oh yeah, that definitely happened to me," or "This is what happened to me," and right. So anyway, yeah. Oh, 30 hunts and all of them had evidence, right? There you go. All of them. I mean, again, I have experiences everywhere I go. I vacations, It's just it doesn't matter. It's if you're here, you're seeing it, you're aware. My thing is, I like to clear it. I don't want it to stay there. I don't want other people to have to experience what I experienced in any way, because it's intrusive, especially when they wake you up and you're trying to get some rest because you're on vacation. They're intrusive, and so they need to go. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. So anyway, and again, I've never, like, I didn't start out doing ghost investigations. I never had to go looking for them. I like to go to places that are haunted, but I don't want to know the story. I don't want to know the details. I don't want to know the background. I don't do any research, or anything like that on it. You know what I mean? Because I want to go in cold. I want to be able to tell you what I feel, and if it's documented, great. If I've added to it, awesome. But that's the way I like to work. Because well, I don't want to be the one that goes in, just to get the evidence. I want to connect to the evidence first, and capture it as I'm connecting to it. Have someone else filming. Right? That's been my role. Anytime I've been with a group, I've always been one to go in energetically. Um, that's just the way I always worked. I didn't want to know. I don't want to do the tour before and get all the lowdown of what it is. I don't want to know the story. I want to just go in. That's the way I like to operate. But so anyway, and again, as you can tell from the stories in that I've relayed, stories that I've written about, I've not had to go look for it. Things have just started happening to me, and I think most of us experience life that way. That was your role also, and you also did it that way. Yeah, cool. I mean, that's the best way to do it. Someone needs to be cold. Someone needs to go in that doesn't have any information. And and again, I'm not allowed to do a lot of reading. I don't research a lot of places. I don't need to. I go and help people clear their stuff without knowing what it is, where I'm going. I have no expectations on it that way. That way, I think the information's clean. Works for me in any case. Um, so anyway, we'll talk more about it though, because I, again, A little bit of brief history. Chapter 2, the Ghost of Fort Huachuca, starts out with a little bit of a brief history. Because Fort Huachuca is still a military base today. Today. Still a base today. And all kinds of crazy stuff happens in Fort Huachuca. So, brief history. Fort Huachuca is a United States intelligence installation located just outside of a little town named Sierra Vista in southeast Arizona. The base has been in operation since 1775 and has been home to many brave men and women and many wars. We thank them all. It only took about 5 minutes to drive through the little town of Sierra Vista, Arizona. The main road leading to the base only had one light. It was a yellow caution, flashing just to make you aware you were entering a town. It had a few houses, a store, a gas station, and a post office. In no time we were turning down one of the only streets leading away from the small town. When first arriving in Fort Huachuca, with only one road in and one road out, both passing the main security gates, you only see desert-covered mountains. Tall yucca cactuses, Indian paintbrush, and large boulders line the road through the cascade of blooming desert plant life. Into hills topped covers with ro- I mean, into hills hilltops covered into roads, carved into roads. Sorry. Down several miles on a long windy road on the other side of the mountain into a beautiful juniper tree covered valley with green grass and fields of vegetation. There aren't many buildings on this base. Some officer housing to the west, a small hospital, enlisted apartment housing with a small park, commanding officers' quarters, a school, and an airstrip, with 5 or 6 buildings situated around it. It cradled in rolling hills, with a huge open valley surrounded by by the Huachuca Mountains. Several rows of the individual houses lined one of the few streets of the officer housing area. Our house was the third from the right from the corner. Even though all the houses looked the same, all the same color, the same landscape, it was still a nice 3 bedroom, 2 bath with a huge backyard. It had a swing set, a tetherball buried into the ground, and a seesaw teeter-totter for us to play on. Having these in our backyard made us popular with the other kids. There was always someone asking to play with us. One day I was in the backyard before dinner playing with a tetherball. It would swing around the pole from left to right as I would make it go faster and faster. As I was standing there alone, in my glorified power, a little boy about my age, with blond hair, wearing a stained white shirt and a dirty tan pants, walked around from the side of my house. There was no fencing, as the house is backed up to a huge culvert, it's a ditch, that separated us from the hospital. He walked over to where I was playing and said, "Hi, can I play with you?" I said, "Do you know how to play tetherball?" "No, not really, but you can teach me. I'll play nice, I promise." "Okay, my name is Sheri. What's yours?" He said, "My name is Jeffrey. Can I play with you?" Asking me as if he had not just asked. I replied back, "Yeah, sure, you can play. Come over here and I'll show you how." Just as Jeffrey was walking towards me, my oldest sister opened the back door and yelled, "Mom said to come inside. It's time for dinner." Looking over in her direction, I began to tell her, "Hold on just a minute. I was just about to show Jeffrey how to play tetherball." The look on her face turned to one of confusion. "Who's Jeffrey?" I turned back to look at him, and he was gone. I thought he must have run off, so I said to her, "You must have scared him off with your yelling." Just looked at me and yelled, "There was no one there, stupid. Now get in the house." I just let the tetherball fall and walked into the house. No point in arguing when I could no longer see Jeffrey, but I knew I saw him. Later that night, while getting ready for bed, I thought I saw something move past my window. It was already dark outside, so I dismissed it and thought I should close the curtain. When I walked over to the window, I looked outside and thought I saw a tall, dark man standing over by the tetherball. I quickly looked again and saw nothing there, so I closed the curtain and jumped into my bed, making a tent by throwing the blankets over my head. As I laid there, scared and trying to go to sleep, I remembered a poem about the Sandman, so I pulled the cover back and recited what I could recall. Sandman, come take me to slumberland. Bring your dust for me to sleep. Make my eyes heavy once again. Please take me to slumberland. Looking up at the ceiling, I saw a small cloud form with swirling motions coming towards me. The dust filled my eyes and I fell off to sleep. The next day at school, I was playing at the sandbox during recess. There was a little boy that I thought I went to school with named Henry, sitting across from me, building sandcastles and running these small wooden trucks along the sandy paths with his hand. We weren't really speaking to each other. He was in his own little world as I was in mine. Suddenly my attention was drawn to a woman standing behind him. She appeared out of nowhere and was looking down at Henry with a smile on her face. Without speaking to her, I could hear her in my head. This is my grandson Henry. Could you please tell him that I know he misses me so, and I miss him too, that I will always love him and be with him? Without even thinking about it, I relayed the message to Henry. As I spoke to him, I could see his confusion turn to that of fear. What did you say? The words rolled slowly from his lips. Everything seemed to be in slow motion. Your grandmother is standing right behind you. She says you are sad and you miss her dearly. She wants you to know that she misses you too. She loves you. She's holding her stomach now and leaning over. Says she died from a sickness in her stomach. I reiterated again, much to the surprise of Henry. He stammered and started getting really upset. He says, my grandma died last week. She isn't standing behind me. She can't be. He started crying and yelling for the teacher to come over. As he was explaining to our teacher that I was lying and making up stories about his grandmother just looked at me and smiled. As she was disappearing, I could hear her say thank you. I was told by the teacher to stop making up stories and scaring Henry like that. Feeling very misunderstood, I said, I'm sorry I made you sad, Henry. Henry responded in a low voice, it's okay, and went back to playing as if nothing had just happened. I continued to play until the bell rang, signaling that recess was over. As I sat there, I started thinking, this place is weird. Later that day, after school was let out, my sisters and I had finished our homework and were ready to run outside and play. There were still places to explore. Just behind the officers' housing was a nature preserve. The guard shack at the entry prevented us from exploring on the main road, so we would walk around the ditch, making our way to the back of the protected area, situated along the Huachuca Mountains. There were piles of dirt stacked all alongside the backside, as if someone had been doing a lot of digging and just left the mounds of dirt behind. We would traverse our way around in what looked like hundreds of mounds of dirt, sliding down some that were so steep we couldn't stand to walk on them, all while walking bended at the waist to make our way up and over. During this one particular day of exploring, I saw two men, dressed differently than any of the military men I had seen on the base on the side of the mountain. They were standing there just observing our movement. Pointing in the directions of the mountains, I asked my younger sister Angie, do you see those men standing over there? She said, no, what men? I looked again and they were gone. As we made our way beyond the mound of the dirt, my sister asked me, what did those men look like? I said, I don't know, kind of tall. They had long black hair with darker skin, like an Indian. Just as I finished describing them to her, I saw them again, this time just past the juniper trees that line the preserve. Look, there they are again. Do you see them this time? I whispered as I looked in the direction of the two men standing behind the tree watching us. Yes, I see them, she replied in a whisper, as if not to allow them to overhear. I said to Angie as I started to walk away from the trees, let's get out of here. We practically ran over the mounds of dirt back to the path that led to our house. Thoughts were rushing through my head so fast, I started saying them out loud. Who were those men? How did they get down from the side of that mountain in front of us so fast? Why were they just staring at us? First they were watching me, and Angie couldn't see them on the mountain. Angie chimes in. I saw them in the trees. Their faces looked like they were painted. They did, didn't they? If I tell you something, you promise not to tell a soul? I felt the need to tell her that I had been seeing since, or what I had been seeing since we moved onto this base. Sure, what is it? I have seen people that no one else can see, I whispered as I shared my secret. I saw a little boy when I was out back playing with a tetherball. He told me his name was Jeffrey, but when Teresa called me in for supper, she didn't see him. Then I saw a tall, dark man standing by the tetherball that night when I was getting ready for bed. Angie interrupted me. That is scary. Do you see them now? No, but seeing those men just now after seeing Henry's grandma that died, I'm starting to get scared too. She's like, wait, what? Henry's grandma? Yes, there are some really weird things going on here. I'm glad I'm not the only one that can see it. Safely back in our home, we tried to explain to our mother what we had seen. She was only home for a short while, announcing she had to go back to work. She said in response to our fantastic explorations, your eyes must be playing tricks on you. There are no Indians that dress like that or wear paint on their face around here anymore. Any more? I asked in surprise, as she had just seen the two, as we had just seen the two of them on the mountain. She dismissed my question and said, it's time for supper. Now go wash all that dirt off your hands and faces. I, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, here we go. Um, Alone at night. This is the next little part to the Fort Huachuca little inlet of a chapter. Both my parents worked outside of the home. My father was an officer in the army, but when he wasn't on duty, he worked in town at night, playing piano and singing for the boys, as he called it. My mother was a waitress and took in laundry to make ends meet. This night, after my parents went back to work and the dishes were done, my older sister decided to go over to her friend's house and left me in charge of my two younger sisters. Again, second born, first born responsibilities. It was always getting dark. It was already getting dark when she left, and she told us, "Just get ready for bed. Watch some TV. I'll be right back." So we did just that. We all got ready for bed and sat down in the living room. We turned on the TV and started watching a show called Family Affair. Not too long after we began watching the show, there was a loud knock on the front door. It was boom, boom, boom. I told my sisters to stay right where they were on the couch, and I'd go look and see who was at the front door. There was a window by the front door and a light on the outside. It looked like a shadow of a person outside was blocking the light. All I could see was a tall figure that was once again knocking loudly on the front door. I jumped back with the next boom, boom, boom. "Who's there?" I called out. I heard a muffled voice say, "Open the door. Can we come in?" After the experiences I had been having since moving into that house, I was scared to death of who or what this might be. Knocking louder and louder at the door again, 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. I thought the door was going to bust open. I ran over to my sister's, picked up my baby sister, who was only 3 years old, and ran into my parents' bedroom. It was the only bedroom that had a telephone in it. So I had my sisters crawl under the bed while I grabbed the phone. Fearing for our lives as the knocking continued, all I could remember was that I was told to dial 0 in case of an emergency. That would take me right to the MP station on the base. The knocking was like an echo in the background as a voice came over the phone. "MP Post 223, what's your emergency?" I managed to get this out without crying. "Someone is outside our front door, knocking really loudly. My sisters and I are hiding under the bed in my parents' bedroom." I started to calm down as I was speaking with the MP, military officer. He asked for my name and location. Once I told him we were in the officer's housing on the second street and who my father was, he said he would stay on the phone with me until the MPs arrived. "Has the knocking stopped?" I said, "Yes, I don't hear it anymore." "Okay, good. Stay with me. The MP will be right with you, or be right there," he assured me as I was letting my younger sisters, who were now sobbing and upset, know that the army men would be here soon to save us. The nice officer on the phone let me know that the MPs were in front of my house and asked if I could look out the bedroom window and see the flashlight one of them was holding. Crawling out from under the bed, or rather, crawling out from under our safe haven, I told him, "Yes, I see the flashlight." He told me to stay in the bedroom until he said it's okay to come out, and that the nice officer was going to take a look around the house. Within minutes, the voice on the phone said, "Okay, Sheri. They say it's all clear. It's okay to come out from under the bed. Go to the front door and open it for the MP that was shining the flashlight." My sisters and I walked out of the room and headed for the front door. As I unlocked and opened the door, I was relieved to see the two officers standing there. My older sister came walking up the driveway just as the MP was asking who was home with us. "What happened? Who's in trouble?" I began explaining what had happened, exactly as I had saw and heard it, and was told that no one was outside when the officers pulled up. One of the MPs had asked one of the neighbors if they had seen anything. None of them saw anything or anyone at our door. The officers told my older sister Teresa to take us back inside and make sure we get to bed. They would be calling our parents just to let them know that there was an incident, but that we were all right. All right, I thought to myself, I am definitely not all right. But what could I say, or what could I do or say that would make any of this all right? I knew what I saw and what I heard, and my sisters both heard the loud knocking. They were scared too. Teresa said, looking right at me. "Okay, that's enough for tonight. All three of you go back. Go back. All three of you need to go to bed. Mom and Dad will deal with you in the morning." "Fine, I'm going to bed. No one believes anything I say anyway," I said as I twirled around and headed for the hallway leading to the bedrooms. I could hear her yell something at me, but paid it no mind. As I walked into the room I shared with her, I As I walked into the room I shared with her and jumped into my bed, I pulled the blankets over my head and prayed for uninterrupted sleep. My eyes popped open, hearing what sounded like a door close. I pulled the blanket back to look over at Teresa's bed. She was sound asleep and unaware of the door slamming. Just as I turned over to go back to sleep, I saw a shadow walk from the closed bedroom door. It moved past my sister Teresa, who was asleep laying in her bed. As the figure moved closer to me, I could make out the form of a large woman. She was dressed in a long blue robe with one white slipper on her right foot. It looked as though she was holding something in her hand, but I couldn't tell what it was. As she moved right through my bedroom window, she disappeared into the night. Shaking in fear, I threw my blankets back over my head and once again prayed to sleep, prayed for sleep to come quickly. My parents were already up, sitting at the table by the time I woke up and got dressed for school. My father started the inquisition as I walked into the kitchen. "So mind telling me exactly what happened last night?" In pure exhaustion, I spilled out everything I had seen up until last night and even what I saw after going to bed. Confessing we were in places not permitted and getting in trouble in school, I held nothing back. Much to my surprise, I was met with disbelief and given the punishment of no outside for the rest of the week. I felt defeated. What else could I do to change their minds? What even was I struggling with? And then the next little interlude. And hello to all of you joining us in the chat room. Hello, my sister. Um, this is past and the present. I tried to go on with the next day, and I tried to go on with the day, the next week and months without seeing anything. This didn't last long. I started seeing men, women, children, all walking around the base. They were all dressed like cowboys, with long sleeve shirts and pants that were torn and dirty. There were more Indians, men, children, and women around the mountains. They seemed to stay within the tree lines. There were some with a determination in their step, while others looked lost and bewildered that they were still here on this plain. They had with them their horses and covered wagons. At times I could hear the clanking of the utensils that hung from the back of the wagons as they rolled by. Another world existing right beside our world, and no one else could see them but me and my sister Angie. I was seeing so many ghosts walking around that this little base became very crowded. The airstrip is where I started to go to get away from all the chatter. I loved the rumbles of the airplanes as they would come and go. I would lay at the end of the runway watching all the jets and airplanes take off and come in for a landing. Flying was on my list of things to do. Even at such a young age, I could see beyond what others said was impossible. I imagined being able, by sheer will, to just float up and fly. I could see myself soaring through the blue atmosphere, and other times going beyond our planets, moving through the many galaxies. Most days the sun was very bright, but one day, while keeping in the vibration of the jets taking off and darting into the bright sky, a very bright ball started flying towards me. At first I thought it was just the reflection of the sun, as the light stays in view several minutes after looking away. Then it darted to the left just as it came to a stop right above me. The bright light expanded into a brilliant golden sphere. Just inside the sphere was the shape of a man. In a state of awe I became communicating with this being. Without speaking, he told me not to be afraid. Standing from my lying position, I asked him who he was. "What's your name?" I asked just before my next thought I heard his name. "Jacob." "Jacob," we both said together in my mind. I felt the warmest feeling of love that I had ever felt. It rushed all over my body, and I could feel him continue to explain that he's my guardian angel, and that he will always be with me. I would only have to utter the thought, "Jacob," and he would be by my side. I trusted his words, as I could feel he meant them from the deepest depths of his soul. His embrace felt all-encompassing and full of love. He told me on the days ahead that they would be trying, but to have faith. Above all things, faith in my Heavenly Father, and all that is holy and sacred in Him. I could feel he had to go, and I cried out, "Please don't leave me here. Take me with you." "We are always with you," and with that Jacob was gone and from my sight. But I could feel him around me, and took comfort in the thought that I am not here alone, that God and Jacob are watching over me. Oy. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I gotta take a break. That, again, I still, when I, I can feel it all playing out in my head. I can feel it. I don't know if you guys can feel it as I'm reading it. Um, but it's definitely. I gotta get back to my pour. There we go. Colors everywhere. I'm like, okay, who else can like feel that as I read it? Can anyone? Is anyone taking that in? I mean, reliving it all. I love that my sister's in the group also here because you know she remembers a lot of it. Oh, and there's my son, Mr. Bryan. You can feel it. Yeah. I'm gonna take a drink real quick, but it is amazing to me though the things that I went through. And I have to tell you, I'm gonna read this next little part of Colors Everywhere, and then we're gonna talk about Fort Huachuca and what else I found out about it. Because yes, I have since found out things. Whew, all right, here we go. So this is Colors Everywhere, another little prelude to Chapter 2. Shortly after Jacob introduced himself, I started noticing different colors around people. Strangers and those I knew alike would start to glow, depending on what they were doing or talking about. I would see colors that were bright, like red, when people were upset or arguing. Children had more of a glow than adults did. Actually, most adults didn't have much color around them. They were more like dirty white, and the glow didn't extend out very far from their heads. There was an elderly man named George, a retired veteran that worked at the commissary, that's a base grocery store, as the cashier. We had become friendly over the years we had been living there on the base. George was already encouraging my mother to buy some sweets. "Well, hello there, Mrs. B. How's that husband of yours? I see you brought in your 4 sweet girls. Have you seen the new candy treats? Perhaps you would like to buy 5 of these brand new Reese peanut butter cups, hot off the assembly lines, for you, yourself, and your girls. For you are as sweet as this chocolate, I'm sure." A real charmer. George seemed like a regular grandfather type. He was nice to most of the people that came through his line, always greeting them with a smile, a catchy line or two, but today George was different. He was blue all over. Some places were a darker blue, like around his stomach and his throat. Uninterested in the chocolate goodness he was trying to sell us on, I blurted out, pointing right at George. Mommy, why is George blue? Not understanding what I meant, my mother replied, What? What are you talking about? George isn't blue. He's smiling and seems very happy. Insisting he was blue, I said, No, he's blue. Don't you see the blue colors all around him or all over him? Distracted by trying to pay for the groceries, George trying to sell her more items, and me insisting I was seeing colors around him, Mom got frustrated and said, What are you talking about? I don't see anything but George standing there. Now grab your sister's hands and let's go. Thank you, George. Come on, girls. Grab a bag or a hand and let's go. Thank you, Mrs. B. Bye, girls, he said as he waved goodbye to us. I kept looking back at him, to the point of distracting myself from walking out the doorway and ended up hitting the side of the doors as I walked out. He was still blue as I walked into the door frame and out the door. Soon after, I started seeing colors around animals, colors, planes, and buildings. Everything around me had a glow. Even the grass was glowing. I started to know things. We were all out for a family weekend, driving up the lake with some friends and family. Dad was driving, Mom was in the passenger seat, and the four of us girls were spread out in the back. As I was sitting there, I started getting images of a police car with its lights flashing red and blue. I could see the police car pulling over a car that looked like our car. You better slow down, Daddy. You're going to get pulled over and get a ticket, I said matter-of-factly. What are you talking about? I'm not going to get pulled over. There is no police car behind me, he said, as he looked in his rearview mirror. Okay, but if you don't slow down, he's going to get you. Just as the words came out of my mouth, a police car pulled out from behind a sign on the side of the road and turned on his lights, speeding up behind our car. I could see my father's look of confusion as he looked at me in the rearview mirror. Not another word from you, he said as he rolled down his driver's window to speak to the officer who wrote him a ticket for speeding. The rest of the ride to the lake was spent in silence, with an occasional glance from my father. I could tell he thought I was strange, but I couldn't blame him. I felt strange, almost backwards. The weather was a blustery 112 degrees, a typical Arizona summer. Mom had surprised us all with a new pair of glasses. Don't lose these, keep them on your face at all times. It's really sunny this weekend and you need to protect your eyes. I had never owned a pair of sunglasses before, so this was a real treat. We played movie stars and walked around like we were having our pictures taken by photographers. The day went on as planned, fun in the water, boat rides, and eating barbecue. By late afternoon, I realized I was no longer wearing my sunglasses. I panicked as I started retracing my steps. Where could they be? I asked my sisters if they had theirs, which all three did, so I had to find mine. Walking the path I ended on, I started asking for help. Please, Jacob, help me find my sunglasses. I felt really silly asking, but thought it was worth a shot. My mind started filling with pictures of my sunglasses. I could see them laying in the sandy path with some grass around them. There weren't many places with this grass, so I asked exactly where, in which grass area are they laying? It was as if my path now became my vision. I could see the ground glowing as I made my way along the path I had taken. Coming to a fork in the path, I could see the path to the right light up. Following the glow, I walked right up to my sunglasses. Thank you, Jacob and God, for bringing me to the right place. I was so excited I ran back to the camp and told my sister Angie what had just happened. I don't know what's going on with me. It's kind of scary, but not at the same time. She just looked at me with her eyes real big and said, I think it's very scary, but I'm glad you found your sunglasses. You would have gotten in trouble. And all I could think was being in trouble with my mom was the last of my worries. This place is so weird, I don't know what's going to happen next. Whew, and that's the end of chapter 2. Oh, yeah. Angie lost her glasses and took yours. No, no, you haven't read the book, have you? Now you know. Oh, and hello, Tamra, and everyone in there. So yeah, wow. All right, what are we thinking about that? Let me scroll back up here. You're enjoying. Oh, good. Thank you, Lisa. It's amazing. I'd like to think I have heard these stories, but the second chapter I don't recall any of these. So now I must read the book. LOL. And think about that now. Oh, cool. Thank you. And Angie's, I remember. That's awesome. You feel it. Oh, very cool. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and again, I'm still so grateful for my sister, first of all. Because again, I feel like a lot of us lose what we see when we're younger because we don't have any reinforcement for it. In fact, we're told quite the opposite. You didn't see that. Your eyes are playing tricks on you. There's nothing there. I don't see anything. You know what I'm saying? That constant negative reinforcement makes you just turn it off. You're just like, "Ugh, you're right. I don't want to see it. It's not there." But how many of you experienced stuff when you were growing up, when you were younger? I know all my kids did. In fact, I'm trying to encourage them to let's work on the next book and put their stories in there with it. Well, hello, Maya. Maya's my granddaughter, Tamara's daughter, and I know Maya has experiences. We share. She shares, and Maya's reading the book too. Yay! Yes, I know. I know you guys. Again, that's why I know my experiences are not just my experiences, right? And all the grandbabies over here definitely did, right? Yeah, everybody's had experiences. But how did you deal with them? I mean, like now as an adult. Oh, and I got to share with you real quick. As an adult, I found out there's more stories about Fort Huachuca. There's Fort Huachuca in chapter 3 also. Because there was a lot of stuff that happened in Fort Huachuca, and I had no idea. Uh-oh, did my sound go? I should not have muted myself. You got sound? Is sound back? Um, anyway, a few years ago, okay, you still here. A few years ago, I discovered by conversation with other veterans that Fort Huachuca was actually a secret military base. A secret military base. Like, like secret. Nobody knew it was there until 1975. And we were there until from 68 to 72. And so what I discovered though is that they have all these different types of experimental stuff going on there. I mean, microwave technology, electronic technology, holographic technology. Um, there's another story that's gonna come up in the book also in the next chapter is about seeing UFOs coming um, out of the base again. And it was interesting too to note that all those mounds of dirt, right? Why would all those mounds of dirt be there? There wasn't enough development um, for all that dirt. Well, then I find out that the base is actually underground. So all those mountains of dirt, were from underground because they dug it out and built underground. Now, most of the buildings and the things that you see on top in Fort Huachuca are just little hangars and, just housing for, enlisted and officers. And it's underground. Underground. So that's why all those mounds of dirt were back there. Great playing area for us. But mounds, mounds, mounds all over the place in this protected preserve, right? So now I have to ask myself how much of that was real and how much of that was, you know, holographic. You know what I mean? Some of it could have been holographic. Who said what before I read about it? Thank you, Elisa. I, for me reading it, because this is the first time I'm like reading it out loud to someone, and definitely putting it out there. Blah blah blah. Tongue twisting happens. And again, I don't know what you're talking about, Ange. Who said what before I read about it? I don't know. Anyway, anyone else want to talk about their experiences and what they might have experienced? Oh, he said that before I read. Yes, he said about the glasses before I read it. Yes, I know. I had to think for a second, go back and look. I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? But I get it now. So anyway, anyone want to share anything that they've been through? You're more than welcome to go and check out the book. It's available on Amazon, soon on Barnes and Noble. Um, but you can just look it up, Parascension Life, My Paranormal Experiences. And again, I have the cover. I want everyone to just go look at that cover and tell me what you see in the cover, because the picture that's on there was one of the first pictures that I took, where just all this crazy energy started coming out before my daughter's image was always kind of blurry. She never really fully developed in the picture, but because all this energy around her, and it was a Polaroid. Okay, back in the 90s. A Polaroid. Not the same as those little ones. They were bigger pictures back then. Now the little Polaroids are like mini, like you get out of a photo booth. Yes, a Polaroid. I know people are like, "What's a Polaroid?" It was one of the greatest cameras back then. Would develop within minutes, right? Not that one. That picture, I took it. It came out, and it took a good 15 minutes for anything to start coming out. I'm like, what is that? It was a dud. So I just threw it to the side, right? And then I get this other picture come up of this thing in the being in the middle of the up on the side came out first. And then you could see the background and Tamara and all that in the picture. And over the years, it has changed. It has developed more, and more things are laden on it now. That's the interesting part too. On the original, as well as the copies that are in the computer. Okay, on the original and the computer copies changed, and I scanned that up on my computer. Oh my God, was that the 80s or the 90s? Early 90s. Yeah, early 90s. And then it wasn't until in 2000s that I scanned it onto my computer. That's the interesting part for me. Is that even though it was on the computer and an original, both pictures were changing. I thought that very interesting. So no one else wants to share their own experiences. I know everyone in this room except for Elisa uh, has had experiences, so cough them up. Oh, and Tamara's saying, I still feel that energy around me today, and my pets look over that shoulder when they look at me too. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. That's it's I believe that the energy that's there, even that guardian angel, introduced himself. I don't know if you remember or not, but when we lived in the house in Providence, and I was sitting at the back table, just by the back door, and then we had that gate that you go out into the driveway and go up the side of the house and go out, right? And you were running out there because you were leaving to go. You were running late. You were running to go somewhere, and you run out the gate, and then all of a sudden I see this energy like jump up over the gate and follow you, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I got Christopher, which was going to be the name of my last baby, Samantha. But she was a girl. I was told she was a boy my whole pregnancy. I was preparing for a boy. She came out a girl. Thank you, Mariah. It is a beautiful picture. That's your mama. About the glasses? What about the glasses? Oh, yes, you're now responding. I hate this delay because I'd already answered what I thought. You do remember that? Okay, good. Yeah, because I told you, that I saw this guy, and he's like your other part. He's like he's in spirit for this experience, and you're experiencing in the flesh. So everything you're experiencing in the flesh, he's experiencing also, and vice versa. So I think that's why you're very in tuned and you know kept. Even though I know you didn't want to see stuff when you were younger, you kept memory of it though, so you know the possibilities, and that's the important part. Keeping the memories so that you know the possibilities, so you don't just dismiss stuff, so you can take care of it in the moment, right? Because some stuff it doesn't belong, and trust me, if it doesn't belong, it's gonna go. If it if it's good and it's meant to be there, it'll stay. You can't get rid of it. Like Christopher, he's there to stay. But I think that's who is up in the top corner of that picture on the cover of the book. That's Christopher. That's what I believe. That's what I see. That's what I get told. So yeah. Hi. All right. If anybody has any other questions or anything, let's put him out there now. Otherwise, I'll probably let y'all go. Um, just want to put that out there for tonight. You know, um, again, I think that us coming together and reading the book together is important because it shows us that we're not alone. We're not crazy. I know we get called all kinds of names, but we're not. We're not. All of us can't be. I guess we could be, but we're not. We're not. We all experience this stuff. So, anyone else want to put an experience in there? I could come up with some more. Trust me, I still have experiences. I still go through stuff, especially when I'm not in my house. In my house, I don't go through. Like I said, I keep my house on lockdown. Only things that are invited during readings and stuff come through. And if I see or feel anything else, I instantly remove it. I don't let anything linger. As soon as I feel it, I sense it, I see it. Like you might see a little thing, a little shadow at the peripheral vision, or you might see, like I see sometimes, these little black things roll across the floor, up and out. We open up that vortex and we get rid of that stuff because it doesn't serve us. It scares us and it keeps us in that lower vibration. So all those things need to be removed. So whenever you feel something, you want to, remember to remove it right away. We don't need to talk. If it's got a message for you, it's not going to come at you in a shadow form. It's not going to come at you in a scary way. Our spirit guides, they talk to us in synchronicities. They talk to us in dreams. They show themselves um, in light. Like Candy O'Donnell. She had an experience the other day where she saw this white light being that she felt, was her guardian angel. She could feel it. She sensed it. She saw it in the mirror. She could see it. And she was in the restroom at night, like 3 a.m. Anyway, she sensed it. She saw it. She could feel it. So that stuff is still, I mean, that stuff, those spirits are still here helping us. We're not alone here. That's the awesome part. We're not alone here. We're not. We feel like we're alone. We feel like we're so separated, especially this year. But we're not. We're not alone. And that doesn't mean they're watching you while you're in the shower. That just means that you're not alone. They don't care about your time in the shower. You gotta keep clean. So anyway, I digress. All right, so if nobody else wants to share their experiences or my chats, once again, this delay, fix that delay, Facebook. There's no reason to have a delay in a private video thing. I mean, what are they going to do? Kick us all out if I say the wrong thing? I don't think so. Either way, there is that delay. So anyway, all right. I'm gonna let y'all go then. I appreciate you coming in and hanging out, and hope that you have a great week. And I know we're all getting ready for the holidays. I can't believe that we're already in December of 2020. It's gonna be 2021 in just a couple days. Yeah, a long delay. I don't like it. Oh, good. See, I'm saying goodbye, and someone's like talking now. Such a long delay. That is not cool. Look at that, a minute delay. That's not good. So Heather, hey Heather, you're saying after a friend's passing, I kept getting the feeling someone was trying to reach out or reach me, so I prayed to be able to receive whatever was trying to come through. And then next night, we're gonna wait to see what happened the next night. Like, come on, Facebook should fix that delay. That is ridiculous. Let's see how long it takes the next night to pop up. Yes, I walked into my dark bedroom and there was a man standing there. And crazy delay. Is this the new normal? I'm not liking that word, the new normal. Can I just say? So he scares you to death, ran to my bed, and sent Ty to check. Nothing there. Wow. Never happened again. All right, so after a friend passing, you kept getting the feeling someone was trying to reach you, so you prayed to be able to receive whatever was trying to come through. So the next night, you walk into your bedroom and there's a man standing there. Scared you to death, ran into my bed, sent Ty to check, nothing there. Hmm. Was that the house? What house was? Which house was that? Um, because I know you've lived in some crazy energy houses. Let's just say. Of course, Florida. Florida's full of crazy energy too. All over Florida. But and again, when you walked into that room and you saw a man standing there, did you see like a full on looking man, or did it look like more of a shadow? More of a shadow. Yeah, Clearwater House. How'd I know? Yes, it's the one you think it was. Yeah, so again, if it was it's shadowy and creepy, yeah, Shadow Man. Yeah, Shadow Man no good. And again, I know in that moment you're scared, so you want to run. It's the fright or flight. But there's also the freeze. We need to remember that because sometimes you can just be frozen there also. But yeah, and I know there's. kind of stuff that happened in that house. That was crazy energy there. But yeah, for the most part, if you can't remove it, you did the right thing and moved. Yeah, because again, these energies are, oof, they look great, great, but we can get rid of them. We don't want them to scare us. So we know if we're scared, then it's not an angel, it's not a spirit guide, it is a shadow man. And shadow men are the lookout guys for the skyfish and all the other beings. And oh, that's a whole other show. That's a whole other conversation. Um, when we're talking about all the different aspects that come along with the shadow men. You would think that it's just one thing. No, no, no. And they definitely fill you with fear. That's their goal. Their goal is to keep you in fear because that fear feeds their masters. Yeah. So as soon as you feel something, you want to remove it. And I've got a video up on my media page on my psychicsolana.wix.com /services /media page. It's a video called June Visualization, and it helps you learn how to open up your living vortex so that you can remove these things. Anything. Anything. You can remove it. Open up that vortex and pull it up and out. Right? Open up that vortex, pull it up and out. So go check out that video on my site. I'll put the link up so that you guys can go and again, if you don't work with your chakras, there's connecting and grounding video that will get you going. If you've never done any kind of energy work at all, there's a happy place video. Got to find that happy place so that you can go. When you do decide to go and meditate or be in your safe spot, you wanted that visualization to help you. Um, and so you can do the happy place video, then the connecting and grounding video, and then there's direct energy healing. And again, I know there's so many more things that we can do when we come together collectively in that belief. Energy healing is just one of them. Mental telepathy, moving things, or being able to talk in your mind like we do with the spirits. A lot of that talk and conversation goes on in our minds. So flying. I have always just known I could fly since a little girl. Like that story there. I can just see myself jumping and just flying, taking off. Woo! Here we go. I know we can do it. And not just astrally, physically. I'm talking physically. And so what are you saying over here? No, no, more like 5 minutes. Wait, we're all here. Yeah, I know. See, I went on talking. You wouldn't have known because of the delay. Just crappy delay. But anyway, I digress. And we deal with it, you know. So, and then, um, all right, Heather, that's exactly what I need. All right, I'll be sure and put the links to my page up on the comments here. I could probably. I don't want to do it right now because it's all being recorded, so I'll do it after. So, all right, I got your peace sign, and then are we ready to go? Are we done? Anybody have anything else you need to say? Well, I certainly will be coming back on. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Maybe tomorrow night around the same time. Come back and read chapter 2 of Fort Huachuca. Fort Huachuca, very interesting place. You guys can look it up. Google it. No, don't Google it. They don't give you all the good information. Bing it, or I like Bing. Bing gives you all kinds of different information. They don't censor it. So definitely go Bing it. Go look up Fort Huachuca. Look up all the stuff that they've been doing over the years, and you're going to be like, oh, that's where it came from. That's where it started. But anyway, go check it out, and you know, come back and join me uh, next time I put up the event and invite you all. So. And for those of you listening into the recorded part, if you want to share any of your stories or anything you've been through, definitely just add it into the comments and we will be checking those as they are added. So again, appreciate y'all coming in and hanging out with me tonight. And, many blessings, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining your spiritual counselor, your eyes to the sky, and your internal GPS activator. Join Solana on the next episode of Parascension Radio.